back to my YouTube channel. Today we are in the kitchen. We are going to be cooking a traditional Costa Rican meal. The reason that I learned how to cook this is that I was going out to eat a lot. I didn't like to cook meat at home. I'm really bad at cooking meat without an Instapot. So I was just going out to eat a lot, and I really like the traditional Costa Rican meal. De carne and salsa with either casado or rice and beans. It's kind of funny because it's like opposite of what you would think. So casado is literally just red beans and white rice, separate, and then you have your meat. De carne and salsa with rice and beans is a Costa Rican rice and beans that's cooked with coconut milk and some other things, which I will show you guys and tell you about. But I always get that, and then it comes with usually like a cabbage salad, plantain. Flor de Jamaica is a very popular drink that they'll take with it. I could get it relatively cheap at the restaurant up the road, so I would always go do that. But I swear the portions of meat were getting smaller. And I was like, I want more meat, because the whole reason I'm going out to eat is to get the meat. So I was like, guys, I am going to learn how to cook this. It's a long process and it's not easy. I only found one recipe on Pinterest. Like, you guys know, if you type in pasta primavera, you're gonna get 70 recipes of variations of pasta primavera. But you type in de carne and salsa, traditional Costa Rican de carne and salsa, one recipe. I'm gonna show you guys how I make it. It's so delicious. It takes like a couple hours to make it, but it's so worth it. The way I was able to make it is my neighbor, thank God, love you Monique, let me use her Instapot. I didn't know they made a mini Instapot. So I thought the smallest size was 6 quart, but the smallest size is actually a 3 quart. Riley's coming to visit in a couple weeks, and I ordered an Instapot, a mini Instapot to LA for him to put in his suitcase and take with him so that I can cook more. I'm super excited because probably don't know this about me. A lot of people actually don't, but I love cooking. I would consider myself a pretty good cook. I get a lot of compliments on my food. I made this whole meal that I'm about to show you guys last week, and I shared it with my neighbors. Costa Ricans here, they're native, they're called Tika. I shared it with them, a bunch of people who have lived here their whole life, born and raised, 30, 40, 50 years old. Everyone was like, you're more Tika than us. This is the best meal ever. You should open a restaurant. Not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. I'm not really sure how filming this is gonna go, but we're gonna find out. The first step to making carne and salsa, I am going to chop up half a bunch of cilantro. That was probably really loud in the speaker, sorry. A bell pepper. I have some garlic already chopped up. An onion, and also just so you know, the onion and the bell pepper don't need to be like finely chopped, just roughly chopped up. It calls for chicken bouillon, but I use beef bouillon instead because it's a whole beef meal. The next step to the process involves using beef broth. Instead of using canned beef broth, I'm going to use the leftover beef broth from what we're putting in the Instapot. Salt, soy sauce, Lizano. First of all, it's very hard to find if you're not in Costa Rica. It's like a vegetable-based sauce. It's kind of like Worcestershire. Worcestershire. That's such a hard word to say. I'm trying my best. So if you're gonna try to make this on your own and you can't find Lizano, which if you're in the United States, good luck, use Worcestershire sauce. So I'm going to take all of those things. I'm going to put them in my mini crock pot. I got a little over a kilo of beef, which is about 2.2 pounds, so probably 2.5 pounds of meat. And I'm going to throw all of that into the Instapot, cover it with water up to the fill line. It says 6 to 8 cups, but I can only put like 3 cups of water in the Instapot because it's so small, and it totally works out fine. Just keep that in mind with the size of your Instapot. If you put more water in, obviously you're just going to have more leftover broth, which is really yummy, and you can do great things with that. I'm going to chop all that up, and I'm going to throw it in the Instapot and get that started, and we will come back. pot. I am going to cook it on high for 25 minutes in the pressure cooker. In the meantime, I am going to finish up my food from last week so that I have pots to be able to do the next step. I am limited at the number of outlets and space I have in my house, so it goes in the bathroom. There's no space to put it here. I can't move this. This is a gas wired in burner, so there's nowhere to put it there. I have these outlets right here, but I have my fan and my ring light there. And then the only other outlets are over there, and there's no room over there either. Bathroom for the crock pot it is. The stuff is still in the Instapot. I think it's done. I like to let it naturally release because I feel like it makes less of a mess. Honestly, that's the only reason. So I will let it sit in there until it's probably like 45 minutes after it's been done, because last time I did 30 minutes and it still made a huge mess. So I'm about to start the rice though. The traditional rice is very easy. I just have all natural brown rice. I think technically they use white rice, but I just like brown rice. And then I have some fresh thyme, these little peppers, which I forgot the name of. I will look it up, put it right here. If you can't find them in the US, you can just use habanero peppers. I think they're technically a little bit spicier than a habanero. Rice, thyme, the peppers, coconut milk, and salt. I do about a cup of rice approximately. I don't have any measuring utensils, so I just go with my gut. And then I do quite a few sprigs of thyme. I really like thyme, so I put probably more than you're supposed to in there. I think the recipe calls for 1 pepper, but I do 2. And you throw them in whole, so you don't chop them up, you don't take the seeds out or anything, you just throw them in whole. If you're doing a cup of rice, you would normally do 2 cups of water. I do 1 cup of water and then 1 cup of coconut milk, and then just salt it. And then you cook that, and then once it is done, you'll take the sprigs out, and you can just like super easily peel all of the leaves off and take the stems out. Take the peppers out, toss all of those, mix in a can of red beans. If you want to make your own red beans from scratch, obviously you can. Just do that, and then you have your coconut milk, rice, and beans, and it's a really yummy flavor, and it makes your house smell so good while you're cooking it. I am going to start that now. I will just explain how to make the flor de Jamaica, or just Jamaica, because I have already made it yesterday. It's really super simple. Jamaica is hibiscus tea. It's 3 ingredients: ginger, hibiscus tea, and sugar, and that's it. I take a really big pot and I just roughly cut up. You don't have to like mince it or peel it even. You just cut up a bunch of ginger. I do like a large amount of ginger for a pot. I like it very gingery. I boil just the ginger by itself for a while, probably like 15-20 minutes. Really get that flavor out. And then I'll add the hibiscus tea and the sugar, and I boil it for like another 8 to 10 minutes, and then I let it cool. And I put it in the fridge, and then you have delicious, yummy, good for digestion flor de Jamaica, which is really good. As far as like the amount of sugar, I try not to put a lot of sugar. If you get it here at a restaurant, it's gonna be super sugary and sweet. So that's good once in a while, but I like to have it a little less sweet because I'm just trying to cut back on sugar because I love sugar. Yeah, you can just play with the sugar level. A couple tablespoons in a big pot is good. Okie dokie. The rice is done. I am going to show you guys how I just do the final steps of it. It's really easy. I like to compost by throwing everything I can into the jungle. We will take out the whole peppers. So this is the bunches of thyme, and I just kind of like scrape off because since they've been cooked, the leaves fall off super easily. I love fresh thyme, but I hate getting all the leaves off like that. So this is the thyme and the rice. Now, I like to take my canned beans and I drain them in a strainer, but I don't rinse them because I like a little bit of the flavor of the saltiness. But to each their own on that one. I really need to get an actual spatula. I only have a few cooking utensils. I missed some time. You just mix those beans in, move on to finishing the last step of the meat, and then I will cook the plantains, and then it'll be all done. I am sweaty, if you can't tell. I'm glistening. It is hot in the kitchen. Okay, so we have the Instant Pot here. What's happening? I can't open it. Huh? Guys, I'm confused. Did I break it? Technical difficulties. Oh, weird, but there's like this little like valve thing that was like pushed up, and I just pushed it down. It's not the sealing valve, it's like this other little thing. But anyway, reveal time. Ooh, that'll be fun to clean. What we are going to do next is we are going to take all of the chunks of meat out. If there's like chunks of veggies in there, whatever, that's fine too. Okay, this process is all like very chaotic, and I have a very small space to work with. Bear with me if this is just like, what are you doing and what's happening? I have the meat separated. It falls apart so easy, guys. So now I have what's left in the Instant Pot here. God damn it. The broth and the veggies. So now I'm going to strain and separate the broth from the veggies, and then I'm going to put the veggies into the blender, and I will add some more things which I will show you. I'm going to take some of the broth back and put it back into the blender. I want to like measure out how much I want first. So I hope that makes sense. I have my mush. It looks so unappetizing. I'm going to add 2 tomatoes, the rest of the cilantro bunch, some garlic, more Lizano, ketchup, which I don't love that there's ketchup in this, but whatever, like a tablespoon of sugar. And then once I add that to the blender, then I take some of the beef broth that I strained apart, and I put 2 cups of that into the blender. I blend it together, take what I put in the blender into the meat, and then I simmer it for like another 30 minutes to get all those flavors together. And then it's done. It's all done. Cook the plantains after that. It's a long meal, guys. And then the leftover beef broth, so yummy and has so much flavor in it. Use it as a base for my ramen. So when I'm making ramen, I do like half water and half that beef broth, and so good.
It helps the speaker lead his audience into the scene he describes by creating an imaginary picture.
So I figured you guys would not want to watch me peel ginger and chop ginger. Garlic, what? Am I awake? Here is my blender of stuff. I am now going to add the broth. As I mentioned before, I do not own measuring cups. So I'm like, this looks about a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup. I don't know, I'll add like 2 to 3 spoons of this. There it is. We're gonna blend that up and throw that in the pot and let it simmer. We got all that puree in there. Blend all of those yummy things together. 30 minutes or so is probably good. Honestly, also, I will link the recipe below. However, I very loosely follow the recipe. I do that with a lot of recipes, which is why I created a recipe section in my blog of all of my favorite recipes and my like tweaks on them, because pretty much never do I follow a recipe to a T, and also pretty much never do I measure anything. I just kind of like eyeball it. I've gotten pretty good at it, and it always turns out good. I'm gonna let that simmer, clean up my mass amount of dishes. My kitchen, so messy. I'm going to clean, and I'll come back and show you how I make the plantains, and then I will sit down and enjoy my meal that took me like 4 hours to cook, okay? So we are finally on to the plantain, and you guys, I'm so tired, my feet hurt. I've been cooking for almost 5 hours, so I'm gonna show you guys how to cut this up and fry this. I just fry it in butter with a little bit of salt. I use unsalted butter and then add my own salt so I can control the salt level. To get the butter started melting, I do about that much butter in a pan. To cut up the plantain, we just cut the ends off. Also, this plantain, you're gonna slice it down here. Even though it looks like it's bad or overripe, this is actually the perfect amount of ripeness for a plantain. You want it to have a lot of black and a little bit of yellow on it. to get the best flavor. So you just take the peel off, and traditionally they slice it kind of like diagonal slices. Salt the butter. So we have all of the bananas in there, and we'll just fry them a couple minutes on each side until they are a little bit brown. If you even want to make them a little bit black, like burn them a little bit, they'll be good because it caramelizes the sugars in them. So these are perfectly cooked, maybe a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna plate them, and then we are going to try everything. I'm so excited, guys. I finished the meal. I'm not eating a full portion right now because I'm going to eat dinner later, but I wanted to try it for you guys. We have the carne and salsa with rice and beans. If you don't know, carne and salsa literally just means meat in sauce. Then we have my plate of fried plantains, which is so good. I just scared my cat so bad. Sorry, Muffin. And then we have my jamaica, the hibiscus ginger drink. This is everything. So spicy, gingery with the tiniest bit of sweet. This meat just falls apart. Ugh. I usually just eat bites of the rice and beans with the meat together. Fire. So good. Can't forget the plantain. I always think that I burn them, but like these are always the best. You guys, it's so good. I'm going to fully enjoy this meal and be present with it. I was so sweaty from cooking, I had to go immediately take a shower before I could even sit down to eat. It did nothing, to be honest. I'm sweaty again because humidity. Rip. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you liked this probably chaotic cooking video. Let me know if you want to see more recipes. Let me know if you want to learn how to cook something. I'm really good at figuring things out. While I was prepping this, I also made homemade ramen eggs, which are really easy to make and so good. If you like ramen eggs, like if you don't like ramen eggs, I feel like there's maybe something wrong with you. Maybe you should get that checked out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, basically. And like, subscribe, share my channel. Check out my blog too. If I don't have recipes on there now, if it still says coming soon, there will be recipes soon, I promise you. Recipe will be posted on there as well, the full meal. So if you want to make it for yourself at home, I highly recommend it. It is so flavorful and so good. If you like cilantro and tomatoes and thyme and buttery sweetness and ginger, you'll love this meal. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I'm so awkward. Have a beautiful day. Pura Vida. Mwah.
Vamos